In this video, we're going to talk more about plans, why they are strategic, and some examples on the laws topic. Alright, so I want to go a little bit more in depth. Why? Why exactly would you want to read a plan? Why would you read a plan? Well, the reason you'd want to read a plan is that it is strategic. A lot of things that people do in debate come down to the arguments and the strategy behind them. And the main reason that people read plans is that they gain a competitive advantage by doing so. So let's take the example on the lethal autonomous weapons topic of the China affirmative. The reason that the China affirmative is so strategic is that every country that is not China, there's no relation to this affirmative at all whatsoever. So if you read like the US military AI R&D disad in every debate, you wouldn't have anything to say against this affirmative because it wouldn't link to that disadvantage. So it's strategic to read these specific types of plans because they're really strategic. They allow you to do things like no link out of disadvantages, make things like a lot of case arguments not apply, get out of arguments like circumvention or terrorism, or lots of specific instances. So let's take a specific instance again of the topic. So if we have the affirmative that just bans South Korean lethal autonomous weapons, that affirmative might be strategic because, again, if you say the military AIDA, you are likely not going to be prepared to answer all of the specificity that a South Korean affirmative might have to this type of DA, because the South Korean AI industry is much different than other industries. It's more advanced. It has a lot more civilian backing. So that would be the strategic reason why you would want to read an affirmative that had a plan like the South Korea affirmative. Another reason is that you can just have really specific advantages. So what I mean by this is, rather than just having a generic arms race or escalation scenario, you could read a specific advantage that talks about escalation between North and South Korea in a specific place, like the DMZ, and by doing that, you would gain credibility, you would gain probably probability of your scenario happening just because you are reading a very specific plan in this type of debate. Now, the thing you have to watch out for when you read a plan is that makes you susceptible to an argument called topicality. So topicality, if you remember from the video before this, is an argument that says you must follow 100% of the topic. So in the instance of the South Korea affirmative, most affirmatives are talking about a lethal autonomous weapon called the SGR-A1. So this is a lethal autonomous weapon that is deployed in the demilitarized zone separating South and North Korea. Now, there is a lot of good evidence that says that this specific lethal autonomous weapon is a lethal autonomous weapon. However, there's also evidence that says in either 2018 or 2019, there was a big commotion in South Korea about the autonomous capacities of this robot being bad, and that they actually shut off all autonomous capabilities of this SGR-A1 robot. So, if the affirmative in the debate read an affirmative that banned the South Korean SGR-A1, that might not be topical because it would ban a weapon that is not autonomous, because the equivalent to the Congress in South Korea banned the autonomous features of this robot. So this might be an example of an affirmative on the topic that is a plan, but might also not be topical because it's not actually autonomous. And there's a lot of different instances of this on the topic that we can talk about more specifically. But the reason why somebody would read an affirmative like this that might not be 100% topical, might not fall within 100% of the resolution, is because it gives them a strategic advantage. So why would you read a plan? To gain a strategic advantage. I'll see you next time.